Hello. Looking forward to seeing who's here. We are live for the first live stream. Just wait a second. I'm trying to tell if that one in the corner is, two. Fantastic. We've at least got two people. So I'll just start off and just introduce, but just saying, first of all, in a second, I'll just sort that lighting just before we begin. That's better, isn't it? And gone. So for the people who are watching at home, this is basically my equivalent of a Christmas party. So I'm here in my office in Newcastle, and I thought I would basically just start off by saying hello to everyone, basically introducing this. And this is my Christmas live stream where basically I'm wanting to chat to you, see what you've thought over the last year of the videos, talk to you about some of my favorite videos, talk to you about some of my favorite historical topics, and just basically go from there and just see how it goes over the next sort of hour or so. And if it's going particularly well, we'll keep going. But please can you use the chat function, chat away with me. There isn't anything particularly planned as such, but I thought I'd just start off by just saying hello and go from there. I can see there's apparently two of you watching, so that's good news to start off with. Got at least two people who are interested, and my blathering hasn't scared you off just away. Ophelia, fantastic. I'm really glad you could make it, and I've actually noticed a lot of your comments recently, and I hope you've enjoyed when I've responded. So that's good there. Just wet my whistle a little bit. But yeah, so I don't know how much of you that you heard. But basically, I'm going to go over a number of the different videos that I've... I'm very well, thank you very much. I'll just do a little sort of like explanation. But basically, I'm going to go over a few of the videos that I really enjoyed making, or that I really enjoyed, talk about some of the outliers that I really didn't expect to basically do as well as they did, and then talk about why I think that was the case. So it's a really funny one for me, because obviously over this last year, it's been a very interesting journey starting doing YouTube and doing all of these videos as well. And I'm really glad you enjoy the videos and that you think they're a lot of fun, because it is actually quite an interesting one for me. Basically, just to sort of explain how this all started, I think if you've seen the channel for a while now, you've probably realized I sort of started off by basically, well, I work as a tour guide up here in the northeast of England. And when I work as a tour guide, basically COVID kicked off and I couldn't work anymore, because you can't really show people around when you've got a virus that is passed around by actually seeing other people. And so when that was going on, I thought, how can I sort that? And I went out into Northumberland and I thought, where's the easiest place I can start off with? And I thought with Hadrian's Wall, because it might be a little bit funny, but I actually live within like around roughly 1 mile of Hadrian's Wall. It passes right through the heart of Newcastle, and so I live within a mile of it. So within about 2 miles is at least a couple of old Roman ruins I could go and visit easily. And so I went out and I actually bought a camera. So it's just down here, if I can get it to hand. That was one I should have definitely prepared earlier, but it appears that my toddler has come in and I bought it myself. Oh, you're based in Newcastle. Yeah. Sorry, I'll answer your questions in a second, but yes. So yeah, you actually lived here in Newcastle at one point, Ophelia. Oh, that's brilliant. No, it's good to know. Newcastle's actually got a lot of people who come in and out all the time. And so that's actually quite a lot of fun about the city, because you get people who travel around the place, who come here for university or come here to work for a while, and then they go back again. And so that's actually what makes it so much fun. But basically, I got myself a GoPro, set out, and I just started recording. And that was me. Sorry, this particular GoPro. It's on the side, right next to me. And again, another humorous thing where I'm not really prepared. I normally keep it down there, but obviously with a little toddler running around the house, I wanted to put it safe, so I put it up on the side right here. But I bought this one, and you'll notice from a lot of the videos I do, it's 360. So what I do is I go out, and when I'm filming, I just have it like this. So you'll often see the point where it's aimed towards me. I'm chatting away to the camera, and then afterwards I edit it so that I move between what you can see on the ground. And so let's say, for instance, a castle or Hadrian's Wall or ruins or something like that. So I can move between that and the camera and myself. And so I constantly move around with that, do that, record as much as I can. And then once I've recorded, then I basically set off, come back home and sit down, sort out all the camera angles, turn it into an MP4 file, upload it to another editing software. And then that's when I put in all of the images and all of that stuff that creates the video that you eventually get to see. So it's probably around about 3 to 4 hours of editing and all of that stuff that actually finally produces the video that you get to see. But I absolutely love it. And you've noticed probably in the recent Christmas videos, what I actually started doing. Oh, hello to the person who just joined. But basically with the most recent Christmas videos I actually have created a green screen. So I bought a green screen and set up a green screen in my house. So what I do is I set up the green screen. So it films in 360 all the time. Well, you could set it up in both normal filming, or you can set it up in 360. I always set it up with 360. The files are way bigger. So for about 15 minutes, you're looking about 5 to 6 gigs for the file. And so it's always filming around me all the time. And then when I get back here, I sit down in the editing software, in the GoPro software, and I actually pick the frames I want people to see. So I'm getting better. In my early videos, you'll notice that there are some really, really fast transitions. So I'll pick one spot, and then I pick the second spot, and then it just goes boom, like this. And you are just left with a really disorientating experience, which I didn't realize people were getting. Because with the creative process, I was creating a video, I was editing like 8 or 9 clips, because in my early days, I wasn't comfortable with speaking continuously for as long as I do now. And so because of that, I was stitching together like 8 or 9 clips. And so suddenly you'd have these transitions where you were just going boom, 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 all over the place. And I felt really bad for everyone when I realized that was going on. So now I try and make the transitions a lot more smooth. And that's something I have to take into account when I'm actually doing it as well. Because when I'm out filming, what happens is that I'll be walking around the place, I'll be talking, and I have to think in advance when I'm doing the script, what are people actually wanting and to experience? I have to slow down my speaking at some points. I'm going to start working on a little bit more pauses in the future. I did a load of filming back in September. I actually went over it recently, and I've just looked at it again, and I'm just like, actually, some of this stuff I just can't use. Not going to use it now because of the fact that the lighting's not great, and it doesn't really cover what or convey I want to say. So I'm going to, over the end of December, start of January, refilm a whole load of stuff, hopefully for the series on the Roman gods of Hadrian's Wall, and then do a load on that, and then release that throughout January. And in February, hopefully there'll be some stuff on the Anglo-Saxon Kingdom of Northumbria. But I've got quite a few things planned. I would like to do some stuff on the Viking heritage of the Northeast and like the Scandinavian kingdoms and how that works together with the Northeast of England. Possibly even going a little bit later on into the sort of the 15th, 16th, 17th centuries in the period called the border conflicts between England and Scotland, especially the border reivers. That's something I'm quite interested in. I might actually head down to Durham and do some stuff around Durham as well. That'll be quite fun. And just basically just build up some stuff like that. I actually had a request this morning asking if I would do something on the history of ancient floods. And so the idea of looking at ancient floods and the idea of like how to basically put this stuff like Noah's Ark-esque sort of things. So where in the world have there been these narratives of world-ending floods? Having a look at the historical context, backing them up with like any archaeology, and then just basically seeing where these stories come from. So that was one of the things that was said to me. Hello again to the person who's just joined as well. Great to have you with us. If you've got any questions, please put them in a chat, because it's just great to chat to people. And yeah, basically welcome along. Oh, and you're gone. And someone else has joined again. So yeah, so that's the sort of the creative process that goes into creating the videos, basically. And I hope I've improved a little bit. I think I've definitely improved from the start, and there's still loads of stuff to learn about. Lighting, color correction, all of that sort of stuff I am not really great on, but I'm going to learn over time. You've just asked, what other channels inspire you? I think I look at a number of different channels and the way they do things. I actually get a lot of inspiration from other genres. So when it comes to history and stuff like that, I generally don't watch other history YouTubers. And I know that sounds a bit odd. You'd expect me to maybe like a couple of different ones. The ones I do like, I think, are totally different to the genre that I do. So for instance, Kings and Generals. So you may know that channel. It's a really massive one. They do like hour-long, intense depictions of stuff like battles, political events, all of that sort of stuff. They go right into detail, and they'll cover it over an hour. I really like putting one of those in the background while I'm just maybe doing another job or something like that, and really understanding the intricacies of some of those events in history. I also really like listening to academic lectures. And so I listen to like very in-depth academic lectures on the Dark Ages, the Romans, medieval periods, and really understand history from the point of view of a real specialist in the topic. And that really helps me to understand more of the period. So then I get ideas and I think, oh, I'll put that into my own videos and stuff like that. But I think one of the interesting things for me was that when I was starting this channel, it's slightly different to how other people do this. So other people will sit down and they'll record it all in their office. So just like I'm sitting in my office right now, you know, they'll sit down, they'll have their, you know, their recording studio, so they'll speak into a mic, you know, they'll record it all, and often they'll use quite cartoony backgrounds and stuff like that, or they'll use images over the top. So you can think there's a guy called History with Hilbert. He does that sort of style. I used to enjoy some of his content, and he's a fellow Northumbrian, so I enjoyed hearing his point of view on things. And obviously, the study of antiquity in the Middle Ages with Nick Barnsdale, he's amazing. And I got to know Nick actually because I messaged him and said, "Oh, can I do some work with you?" And he said, "Well, actually, I've been meaning to talk to you as well." And we had a really good chat. And then from there, I started producing some videos for him. So I have a really good sort of backwards, forwards relationship, chatting with him, getting inspiration from him, and in turn providing videos for him as well. And I'd say he's actually a really good friend. And he's unfortunately over the last 3 months had some really poor health. So that's quite unfortunate for him. Another channel I find a lot of inspiration for is one called Imperium Romanum. It's a new one. It's a Dutch YouTube channel. And they're a group of Dutch reenactors who do early Roman, well, what would be in Britain early Roman, but across in the Netherlands is slightly further along. But they do roughly from about the 50s BC right the way through to probably around about 60 AD. That sort of period, that sort of century of Dutch history, nearly 2 centuries. And so their stuff is really quite amazing there. Oh, I'd have to look him up. I actually haven't come across him, Jackson Crawford. I'll have a look right now, or I'll put that into my save into my saved taskbar for later. Because right. I'll watch that later, and I'll have a look at him. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know many people who've tried to do the mobile thing. it is easier if you have a filming team. I'll admit that, no end. And there may be some stuff I'll do in the future that will involve more filming with another team. Yeah. Now, it's an interesting thing you say that, because I'm trying to work a lot more with academics as well. Next September, the Lindisfarne dig is happening again. So with the Lindisfarne dig, I've been actually chatting to the archaeologists, and I want to go up to Lindisfarne while they're digging in the ground and have a talk to them. Because the current talk at Lindisfarne is, whenever people talk about it, they think that Lindisfarne was just like destroyed after 793 AD when the Vikings did their assault on Lindisfarne. But the reality is not the case. What they're finding now is they're finding stuff right the way through the 800s, right up till the 850s, and it seems in the 860s, that's when like Lindisfarne is sort of semi-abandoned or something like that. But even in after that, when it's abandoned, as we find within the writings, there seems to be continual presence right the way through until the Priory of Durham, or Durham Cathedral as we know it today, re-establishes Lindisfarne. But there seems to be a continuous Anglo-Saxon monastery on the site, maybe not to the same level as before, but someone kept the heating on. There was someone definitely there at Lindisfarne who was, there were people there, monks there, maybe a smaller group than there had been in the Anglo-Saxon period, but there were definitely people around there. And so they've discovered some amazing stuff. So they found a blacksmith's, which is also doing precious metal working. So we're seeing gold, silver, copper, really, really nice pieces coming out of the ground. They found a lime kiln, I think, a large graveyard. But the problem with the graveyard is it covers centuries. So like they can't, there's some stuff that's definitely like 8th, 9th, 10th century Anglo-Saxon, but there's also some stuff that's later medieval. They've also found a really interesting chest burial. And this is where the Anglo-Saxons in Northumbria seem to have buried people in chests. So that's a really interesting one as well. Welcome to the person who's just joined us as well. I'm just nattering now about possibly going and doing some filming later in 2022 at Lindisfarne and talking to the people conducting the dig there up in Northumberland. So that's one thing for next year. One of the videos I'm planning on doing is going up and filming at Lindisfarne again. So that's some of the stuff I'm looking at doing. When it comes to videos and the stuff that I've really enjoyed doing over the last year, sort of maybe going in reverse order, I'm just going to my own page right now so I can look at it. I really, really enjoyed doing the Roman Christmas stuff, the Saturnalia. That was really, really fun. Because researching all of that was amazing fun for me. Good passion project, and I put ages into it. Interesting enough, just because it's maybe a more niche topic, the videos didn't do as well as I thought. The one that really surprised me was Anglo-Saxon Yule, the pagan, the pagan would probably be the best word for it. I don't want to mispronounce what Norse pagans refer to themselves as. I think it's Asaru, but I think I'm butchering that. So forgive me if you are practicing Norse pagan. But basically, for me, I researched it. And the funny thing is that basically it's based off an Icelandic saga, which, as I said, are written nearly 200 years later after what they're supposed to be writing in monasteries in Iceland. And so it's so far away from the actual context. It's really like out of the picture. And on the other hand, we've got Bede as well, the Venerable Bede. So for me, I just thought, wow, what's going on here? People are really, really interested about this. And it was really interesting because I share it into so many different Facebook groups. I've got on my Facebook groups page, I've got like close on 100 Facebook groups that I'm a part of. 1 sec, I'll just read your message. Yeah, class. Yeah. So especially seeing the connections between different things. And I'm really glad you heard about Saturnalia in a podcast as well. It is not very well known because obviously there's other stuff as well. But what I found interesting was how people responded. So I had some Norse pagans, for instance, sharing it and going, oh, the Christians stole our festival. The Christians stole our festival. And then on the other side of the coin, I had, like other people sharing it, going, this is really interesting. And actually, someone I know in Newcastle quite well is actually a practicing Norse pagan. Really lovely guy. And when he's this practicing Norse pagan, he actually shared it and said, this is one of the best videos to concisely sum up what we know about Yule. And that, for me, was for someone who actually holds that faith to actually say, this is actually really close to what, this is a great way of summarizing it. That was really complimentary, really, really complimentary. So I was very thankful about that, and that was a really nice thing to have, actually, as a little bit of feedback from someone else. And so I'm just gonna. That's better. 21 minutes in, and he changes the camera so you can actually see him. But yeah, so that was a really interesting one. So for me, doing those Christmas ones are good. I know that the Cromwell's Christmas and the Victorian Christmas are gonna tank. They are the Cromwell's Christmas is not doing well at all. Yeah, thank you. But that's only because of the fact that I've done so much stuff on like prehistoric. I've done loads of stuff. Merry Christmas to you as well, Jesse. I haven't seen you in the comments for a while, but it's really good to see you actually again. I've enjoyed responding to your comments as well. It's nice because actually when I'm doing it, I get to see a regular group of you who comment on stuff, who chat, who are involved in it, and it's really nice to just to chat to quite a few people actually from all walks of life, because obviously when I look at the demographics, there's loads of you from all over the place. It seems that UK is first, obviously, then it's USA, then it's Canada, and those are the three main demographics. One sec, I'll just catch up the chat. Oh, good, the Victorian Christmas. Yeah, so it's a bit more of a summary thing of where did our modern festival of Christmas come from. I won't want to spoil it for you, but it's just basically there's 3 or 4 key events that result in the modern festival of Christmas as we know it today. And when you have those key events, that's basically what creates Christmas. So many people think of it as a different sort of thing. They think of it as like it's always been like this, but you just have to look past through the videos and you can easily see that, like, the Romans had a winter festival, and the Scandinavians and Anglo-Saxons had a winter festival. Then you have the Christian festival of Christmas that comes out of the early Middle Ages, and the necessity to have a winter festival, not only just from like how to explain it. Today we'd almost call it like mental health. It's really interesting, that when it's the darkest point of the year, like today, you can walk into any supermarket, you can walk into any location, and you can get fresh food and drink. You can buy fruit that's being shipped in from another part of the world, and you can have access to all of that. And we take that so much for granted today. But if you think about, like, in the past, obviously in the Northern Hemisphere, we haven't got access to like the really fresh fruit and veg at that time of year. Welcome to the person who's just joined us. It's great to have you here. I'm just summarizing some of the videos that I've done over the last year, and I'm currently talking about sort of winter festivals of the period. At the moment, talking about the early Middle Ages or the Dark Ages as we know them today. But when you've got that sort of that period, and you haven't got fresh food or stuff, like, you rely on a lot of stuff like sausages, blood sausages, or black puddings as we call them today, stuff like that to get you through. And so this winter festival, where you cook more, you eat as much as you can, you try and put on those extra calories, just so that, first of all, you've got something that's going to get you through the shortest day of the year, the cold, the darkest day of the year. It's quite dark, there's no leaves on the trees, and that's going to get you through one way or another. And so when you're getting people getting through that sort of midwinter period, it's understandable that different cultures have almost synchronous sort of festivals. So like Yule is going on at the same time as the Christians are practicing Christmas. It's side by side. It's not one's copying another. It's just multiple cultures throughout the year have a midwinter festival. So when you've got those midwinter festivals going on, you've got those people who are like enjoying those midwinter festivals. It then builds up tradition, and so you see in the Middle Ages, it like becomes really like almost ridiculous, the level of tradition and all the different holy days and the different traditions that layer upon each other. It just becomes so much, and then it's all cut back after the Reformation, really cut back. It's seen as over extravagant, all of that sort of stuff, and Christmas nearly sort of like just trundles along as something that exists in the background, but not really something important. And then when you've got all of those things going on in the background, it's the sort of like the Victorians that really revitalize it, because for like, if you think about it, in a Christian holy calendar, the actual most important day is Easter, because obviously it doesn't matter whether or not Jesus was born or not. It matters that he died, because that's what to a Christian matters for his divinity, is the fact he died, rose from the dead, and then provides eternal life to all who believe in him. That's the important side of the coin. Everyone today puts the emphasis on his birth, but anyone can be born. It's what you do in your life that actually matters. And so that's the really interesting one, is like seeing that. But so Easter and also Pentecost, so 50 days afterwards, those were the major ones, or what was called Ascension Day, when Christ rose back into heaven after spending time with his disciples after his death. So they were celebrated very much so in the sort of the post-medieval period, right the way up, and they were the big festivals. But it was Christmas is sort of like with the Victorians, with a lot of the changes in culture, with industrialization, Queen Victoria and Alfred coming over from Germany, bringing traditions and stuff like that, that really transformed and brought that through. So that's been a really fun series to make, and I've really enjoyed that one. And I could natter about it for ages. Really good one there. Just looking back through other stuff. I think I will do stuff about Easter. Yeah, I think that's something that I will enjoy, because Easter is obviously really important as well. And you've got to think as well, there's probably, if I look into it, I'd really like to look at how other sort of like prehistoric and also early medieval cultures and Roman cultures as well, because I really enjoy the Romans too, celebrated that time of year. Because again, as I said with Christmas, there would have been similar festivals going on at the same time. Everyone always goes on about Easter. And again, we have to refer back to the Venerable Bede when he mentions a goddess, which a festival is named after. So everyone goes, oh, Easter is just covering up a pagan goddess. And again, it's like, well, no, you have to look at the fact that the English language uses Easter, but actually there are other cultures that use other words for that period of year, which is, again, really interesting. You look at the Latin language, and they use the Latin word for Easter. And so it's just a difference in cultures. The Latin cultures use one word, and the Germanic, inverted commas, cultures do that. So yeah, I think I'll definitely do something about Easter, and talk about that, because that would be really interesting to look at those festivals. And obviously symbology, because like eggs and rabbits, pardon me, both of those very much a symbol that don't come from Christianity, but we use them today. So eggs obviously being a symbol of rebirth, and rabbits as well. Well, you just have to say, it's quite a derogatory statement, but sometimes people say that they're bred like rabbits, and it's like that sort of idea of multiplication and increasing and stuff like that, and fertility. So all of those must be built in somewhere to that sort of springtime festival. Yeah. Yeah, so that's very true. So you've made a good point, Jesse. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well, and thanks for joining us. Please keep the questions coming, and I'll answer your questions and chat away. And I feel we're just warming up, so it's class to have more of you with us, which in the Northeastern dialect, I think Ophelia will know it because she says she's been here in Newcastle before. But class, if I use it, just means really good. So every time you hear me say that, I'm not referring to social classes unless it sounds like it within the context of what I'm saying. I'm just saying really good. So great to have you with us. But yeah, so just to sort of go through that, one of the things that I think's really happened, and it's something when I've been studying and reading and stuff like that that comes through, is that we just don't do festivals anymore. And it ties back to what I was just saying, just five or so minutes ago, when I was talking about the fact that basically, today you can have any sort of food stuff, very, very quickly. You could go to a supermarket, you can go to a shop, you can get things from all over the world. And that's not even talking about stuff like Amazon Prime. If you think about stuff like that, you can get almost any product within a day. So in the past, when you think about our ancestors, you have to wait for market day to get specialist tools. And market day maybe, once a week, or maybe for more specialist stuff, you have to travel further away once a month. You're looking at stuff where you are reliant on the seasonality. You travel down to market to sell your things, to buy the things you require. And so you've got to plan your meals for a whole week or a month. You've got to plan what tools you're going to use. You're going to have to plan when you're buying seed or when you're planting and harvesting. All of these things are so much more planned. And so that's why festivals are so much more important, because it's meeting with other people. So you've got a social life, so you've got something to look forward to and something to really enjoy. You'll travel huge distances for one as well. I think you just have to look at the traveler community today, who, be them Romani, be them Irish travelers, be them, what people generally refer to as gypsies, but all the different versions of the traveling communities. They still have these festivals where they will meet together for horse shows and other things like that. And so when you've got these traveling communities, they're really amazing people because they've kept up many of the older traditions that we who are more settled, shark eat duck. I'm not entirely sure if I understand that. If you'd like to explain that reference, that I'd please do, because you've lost me there at shark eat duck. Don't worry though. So yeah, because they've got those traditions and they've continued them. But like we settled, the settled peoples, when we've settled, we can rely on food throughout the year. We don't need to maintain some of these festivals. And so they become less important. And I think that actually affects us much more than we realize with our mental health, with our community, with our connectedness to other people, all of those sort of things. And so I'm a big believer in bringing back more festivals, using, bank holidays and stuff like that to gather with other people, that stuff's really, really important. And I think that will, hopefully come back over the next, century or so. But we'll see, because obviously as we become more digital, the requirement for, not when I say physical connection, I don't mean like literally touching one another, but what I mean is like having tactile, close relationships will become more important. I think we've all seen that with the effect of COVID and all of that, where, where you've been in the world, we've all experienced various levels of lockdowns and stuff like that. And so those lockdowns, they have an effect on social connection. And so hopefully there'll be a greater focus on it. And I think the festivals, we can look at the past, and I'm not suggesting we try and recreate Saturnalia or anything like that, but just looking at some of those festivals and going, actually, there was more than just like religion. Because I think one of the problems was that, like, when you look at stuff like the Enlightenment, everyone tried to rationalize everything. And we've gone through a very, like the 1900s to the year 2000, we went through a very rational century. And that, obviously, with the extremes of that, saw horrendous atrocities. Now I think there's an element of an understanding of both sides, where we have to be rational, but also the other side to be far more understanding of what's going on around us and be far more social creatures than we've been before. Yeah, I fully get what you're saying with that. Again, I agree with you, Ophelia. Christmas lockdowns are harsh. I mean, in Britain, who depending on who you talk to, some people would say that we should be having a lockdown right now, and other people on the other side of the coin would be saying like never lockdown again. I personally think come January, we're going to be seeing some very interesting social restrictions again. And the thin end of the wedge, I think, would be the rule of eight in the UK, where, or like you're only allowed to meet 8 people outside at one time. But we will see what happens. I mean, after last year, we just roll with the punches. Roll with the punches after 2020. And I do feel for everyone in the Netherlands. I'm chatting to a few other people in the Netherlands at the minute who have good friends, and they're not having a great time. It's quite tough on them. Sorry, if I go quiet, it's just because I'm catching up with you in the chat. Yeah. And yeah, again, I don't want to comment too much on lockdowns or anything like that one way or another, because I think I don't want to like one side or another, or like, one of the things I try and do in my videos is to make sure that you wouldn't know where I sit politically. And that's just a personal choice. I hope to create a lot of balance between every different group of people and just have everyone enjoy my content. I think when you go one way or another way online, it's far too polarizing. And so I just much prefer to try and talk about history and give you like my view of things on this whole situation rather than anything else. Mm, mm. So yeah, so that's just my thing there. But I hope that doesn't cause any offense for anyone, because that's the last thing I'd want for anyone in this. 1 second. Don't know if anyone heard that, but yes, I've got a little person in the background who's just going to bed. Yes. So, yeah. So I'm not sure. I hope all of you have like been with the channel for a while now. It's hard to tell when people come in and come out and that sort of stuff like that. But just to sort of get a rough idea, just the prehistoric series I did on with the Great North Museum in the museum as well. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's quite a funny one with her in the background. Yeah, just in case you don't know, I've got a little girl who's a toddler, and yeah, she's just going to bed, and you may have just heard "daddy, daddy, daddy, daddy" in the background. Yeah, normally I'd be there for story time, but this one time I'm here because this is my equivalent of a Christmas party. So there's the fun one for you there. But I'll pop in and see her in later on. But yeah, just to sort of ask, like, how, from your sort of like opinions of when you're watching the content and stuff like that, do you find that there is like an optimum time of how long you'd like a series to go on for? Because one of the things I've tried to do is I've always tried to create a series that lasts for about a month, so that I'm posting twice a week. So it's about 8 videos I normally try and create, and then that sort of creates enough content for everyone to enjoy. And it's just something that I'm always trying to figure out, because I find that many other YouTubers just do a standalone video and then move on to the next topic, whereas I try and create like a series, almost like you're watching on TV. And so you can stick with the series for a while. And I'm just trying to figure out, should I do like, Monday's video is on one topic, and then Thursday's video is on a different topic, and then do it like that. So you've got like 4 episodes on one, 4 episodes on another. Those are the sort of things that I'm trying to work out. And I'm going to use the poll feature a wee bit more on the community tab. Also, if I'm using the community tab too much, I'm just trying to get to know people as well. So I hope that's all right with you as well. To the people who've just joined, great to have you here. Please do use the chat. It's how I'm using to talk to people at the minute. And I'll answer your questions, talk about some of the videos I've made. And it's just great to have you with us. I'm glad. Yeah, it's the series. I find the series, it's good fun for me as well, because when I'm filming, I can go out for a whole day to a site, and I can create a number of different videos that focus in on different areas of the site or the archaeological area and stuff like that. So, like in February, hopefully, will come out my series on the king, again, the capital city of the Kingdom of Northumbria, a place called Adgefren. And with Adgefren, I'm hoping that will bring to life a location up there, and really just help people to understand what the area was about. So I'm excited about that one. I just sometimes, when I'm posting and stuff, I don't want it ever to get boring for people. And so that's one of the big things I'm trying to constantly learn about, is try to see what are people's attention spans, what's people's enjoyment. Generally, if you subscribe, you're probably really enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out. So that's good. But it's just trying to always improve, because I've only been doing this for, well, since March. So doing it since March, it's been a steep learning curve, and now it's just trying to constantly develop, learn, to do the best I can, so you guys all feel excited by it. Well, just to sort of answer that, Jesse, I think YouTube possibly, there's two reasons. Well, three reasons if you think about it. One of them, YouTube restricts you a wee bit till you hit 1,000 subscribers. The reason why is they want to make sure you're committed enough so they can get ad revenue off you in the long term. I don't mind that. It means that it's focused me and it's made sure I've done the best I can do to produce the content I want. So that's the first reason. Second reason is probably because I'm not making controversial enough content. So YouTube really likes it if you're controversial. So hilariously, like the topics where I've seen my videos really take off was, well, I'm not saying that the Yule in itself is controversial, but it's a niche topic that some groups of people are incredibly passionate about. So that did incredibly well. My most popular video, much to my sadness in a way, is the lives of two slaves on Hadrian's Wall. And I just did that video, one, because I wanted to see what would happen, and two, because it was something I was interested about. But it's still my biggest video I've ever done, and that in one way that makes me a bit sad, because I think I've done some content that is way more exciting than that, way more interesting than that. And it's just basically like two biographies that I do in around about 9 minutes. But it is my most watched video, with over 3,000 views, which I know compared to some YouTubers is just scraping the bottom of the barrel. But I think that if I did some more controversial topic titles and stuff like that, I'd get way further. The problem is, do I want to do that? It's something that I'm oohing and ahhing about. And I might test some more stuff in the future. But again, it's something where I want to build the channel, but I don't want to do that sort of stuff. And the third reason is probably because I haven't optimized my keywords yet. I am trying them always whenever I post stuff out, and I'm just putting out what I can. But I think compared to some channels, I have grown quite rapidly, and it's 947 when I checked earlier on, just before I logged into this. So that's about right. And I think as I introduce more and more stuff, it'll develop, and we'll see where it goes from there. Sorry, I'll just catch up with chat. Thank you very much again. Yeah, so I think that's the reason why that the channel hasn't taken off more. A third reason, I jokingly say this, is because without sounding terrible, please understand half of this is tongue-in-cheek. But I've noticed there's been a very, very successful historical YouTuber who is she's about a year younger than me, and she does very, very I don't want to say alluring, but she knows her target market, and she's taken off in the same time as me, which I find a little bit frustrating sometimes. But she's taken off, and she's now got close on over 30,000, 40,000 subscribers. So I think there is an element where certain target markets will respond to other things better. And so they see a young, attractive woman and they go, oh, right, I'll listen to her or something like that. And so they subscribe and they find her content interesting and they stay for the information. That's why I started putting images of myself in the start, because I think it responds better. And so I think I'll work on that a wee bit as well to try and make the videos more presentable to people, more interesting, and work on the title so that people come for the title but stay for the information. I agree with you, Jesse. It's one of those things where I'm just like, oh. There's one that I want to do next year. And the title is going to cause like so much fun. And when I say it, hear me out, all right? Because it's going to initially, you're going to go, what are you doing, Alex? But I think that I haven't figured out the title perfectly yet, but it's going to be like the Black Vikings of Ireland. And it's going to cause Facebook to explode. Like, it's going to be like dropping a H-bomb. It's going to be hilarious in a terrible way and also in a brilliant way. But the reason why it will cause it to blow up is because there's evidence for a Scandinavian raid on the North Africa, roughly where Libya, Morocco, Tunisia is today. They raided a number of cities and they took slaves, which they then sold in Dublin. Then within a generation, the Irish kicked out the Scandinavians out of Dublin. So when they kicked them out of Dublin, they ended up in the west coast of Britain and then also in the kingdom of Jorvik, which is what we today call Yorkshire. And so I'm going to talk about that and talk about the whole question of like, were there Black Vikings in York? And look at the evidence and talk that all through. And I think that that'll be really interesting and to see what happens. And yeah, it's going to be one of those where I hate making it in a way because it's not fully me, but at the same time, I'm interested. It's a test subject video. Yeah, so that was another choice as well, Ophelia. When I first started, I had to think about this and go, right, am I going to show myself or am I not? Now, one of the things that made me decide to show myself is that I am not able to cartoon. I don't know how to do that sort of work, to make those sort of stop motion cartoons that you sometimes see with people like Hilbert and other people like that. And so, that sort of thing as well. But I thought, seeing as I already work as a tour guide, people will know who I am. People will know who Alex Iles is. And so because you sort of, people see me around Newcastle, Durham, Northeast England, all that sort of area, and I'm already working as a tour guide, I thought I might as well just continue and show myself personally rather than like going out and just doing like cartoon or like other form of, just images and talking over the top. And because of my tour guiding work, I thought as well that ties in nicely with like using the 360 camera and going out and showing you the places as well. Yeah, I thought it's an interesting topic, and it'll fit nicely into my sort of Scandinavian, Northumberland, Scandinavian, Northern England topics and stuff like that. So it's definitely what I want to do. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because it's just going backwards and forwards and developing that. Yeah, so that's one of the things I like as well, because one of the I've realized that not everyone has access. Let's talk, for instance, about the North American market. In North America, not many people have long holidays. You work really hard and you're very industrious. But I think most North Americans, if I'm right, you get about like for vacation, about 2 weeks where you could travel abroad. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed Bambara. Funny thing about the Bambara one was I filmed that in one day, and I turned up the week before and it was blowing a gale. Like every single time I tried to speak to the camera, you couldn't hear anything. It was just, and I was just like, how am I ever going to get this filmed? Turn up the week after my initial test run, and I was so fortunate. So fortunate. It couldn't have been more of a perfect day. And so when it was a perfect day, did all the filming, all of the episodes in a single day, recorded it all, went back home, and then spent the next 3 days editing that, because I filmed Bamborough day one, then I did the whole Stone Age, the prehistoric Northumbria series over the other 2 days. So it was 6 days in total to film all of it. And I loved it. It was so much fun to go out and do it. I mean, knackering. I mean, like, if you remember the Henges episode, where I'm talking about the reconstructed henge at Millfield in Northumberland, and I'm walking around that. After I finished that, I sat down, I took out my packed lunch, ate my packed lunch, and there was a lovely couple from London, and I just chatted to them for 15 minutes, had my lunch, and then jumped in the car and drove further down the road to film another video. So that was like really good fun for me to be able to go out, to try something out, to do a little bit of filming, and just, I think I filmed in the end about 30 episodes in a 3 days and edited them in 3 days. So I was very happy about that. But I think in the future, I won't do anything as intense, but it's just when I can fit it in around work, because that's a big thing, doing that. To the people who've just joined, by the way, hello and welcome. I'm just chatting with everyone in the chat. So if you want to put questions in the chat, stuff like that, really would like to chat to you. I'm seeing this as my Christmas party. I'm sat here, I've got a couple of ales, and I'm just chatting away with you about some of the videos I've done. If you have a favorite video, I'm more than happy to discuss it. Or if you've got any questions or anything like that you'd like to ask me, far away, because, you know, within reason, I'll answer most things and be able to tell you a bit of my story or what I'm up to, that sort of stuff. So go ahead, and I look forward to chatting to you in a moment. If you are interested, and definitely not sponsored, by the way, just in case YouTube gets a bit arsey, I'm drinking Pagan Queen. It's a lovely local brewery in Newcastle, Firebrick Brewery, and it's sort of just a very nice IPA, which is really blonde ale. Worst filming experience. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to have a scroll back through my. I've got them up on another page so I can have a look at them. Let's have a look. Which one did I really not enjoy? Sorry for my quiet. I'm just trying to figure out and remember. I don't think there's been one that's really stood out as like a really bad experience. I think some of them I've been really worried, like just after I finished filming. I think, let's say, for instance, the last Bamborough one, which you wouldn't have seen as the last, actually, because the order that I film them in isn't always the order you see them in. So, for instance, in the Bamborough one, where is it? Anglo-Saxon capital, and the one sec. The Castle Palace and Stately Home. No, Castle Palace and Stately Home I filmed first, but it was Dark Ages and Anglo-Saxons. So the Dark Ages and the Anglo-Saxons one, that released second of the whole series. Yeah, I filmed that last. And when I filmed that last, that was after 8 hours of filming. Obviously, I'd driven all the way up to Bamborough from Newcastle. I was tired, running out of energy. All the water in my water bottles had run out. and I had probably half a battery left. I've got 4 batteries which I film on, which gives me around about 5 hours of filming time. So when I'm filming, I have to be really sort of like make sure that I'm doing it concisely and well if I haven't got access to a charger. So I knew I had to get it right. And so my voice was breaking. I was tired, and I felt as if I was just gibbering. I felt as if I was just gibbering and I wasn't making any sense. And I got home, I watched it back, and I was like, actually, I've done what I wanted to do, and it's good. And so I just had to edit it up, cut out some sections, work out. But the one thing I've learned is that rather than stopping and starting from the beginning again, what I do now is I stop, pause, and then restart from the last sentence that I said. So you'll get a little cut transition that you will probably notice. But if I have a problem when I'm filming, what I do is I'll talk, and let's say, I'll give you an example. So so just below the palace of Bamborough Castle, there would have been a settlement as well. This settlement would have been, oh no, I've made a mistake. Pause for a second. So just below the Palace of Bamborough would have been, and so then I start again, pick up from where I left off, and then continue from there. And so that really saves it. But I think the worst filming experiences I have are when I'm really tired, where I'm losing my voice, where I'm really struggling, and I'm just thinking, have I actually said that right? And I think that's when the biggest doubt comes into me, because I want to make sure that I'm speaking something clearly, something that's concise, and something that's enjoyable for you as well. Because I often worry I get far too much into the history, and you would like more of a helicopter view, and I'm trying to go right in and give you something that, because I'm reading the academic work. I sit down, I read the archaeology reports, all of that sort of stuff, and I really, really make sure that I kind of know what I'm talking about. Because so often I'll see a YouTuber talking about history, and I get really frustrated, because what it feels like is that they've just read something that you would read in school. And when they've read something that they've just you'd read in school, they'll just give you the bare bones information, but they'll do it in a new and quirky way. So they'll speak really fast. They'll put funny images on the screen and stuff like that, and it gets good clicks. But I'm just like, okay, so you've done Boadicea's rebellion again, or you've done Claudius's invasion. Why not talk about life in Roman Britain? Talk about some of the finds. And that's some of the stuff I'm going to do a little bit more next year. I mean, you'll find this interesting, but I've got a lot of reconstructions from my hobby, which I haven't talked about yet, but I do some Roman reenactment. And so like this, for instance, is just a Roman drinking cup, which has been used in depth. Actually, I'm decided not to use it today, but that's something that I really want people to see, is like the day-to-day lives, because so often I think we focus on like kings and world-changing events, but the simple fact of the matter is that humanity is more or less made up of our daily lives. We get up in the morning, we have our morning meal, we work, we have our evening meal, we go home, we see our loved ones, and we learn something new, and then we go to bed, we sleep, and we get up again. That could explain most human lives. I know I've missed out a lot of detail, but that's kind of human existence. So with that, I just want to bring that out, because I think that so often we see the past as something so different. Or like one of my biggest hates is when people see, they talk about the past, and they refer to the people as Monty Python peasants sitting there in the mud, just sitting there in total mud and like being stupid idiots, or like, yeah, and you're like, no, they weren't. They're exactly the same as us. They're just as clever as us. What they knew was different. So I think like human intelligence has been about the same for so long, maybe 100,000 years, I'd even risk saying. But human technology, like the way we access our intelligence, the way we present our intelligence, that's what's changed. That's why I can talk to you right now. That's the thing. So it's trying to get people to understand that, stuff like this day-to-day item requires just the same level as art and attention to detail. Sorry, I'm trying to do it so you get it nicely in the light. Yeah. Same level of art and detail as some of the stuff that you can buy today. And actually probably requires more effort than some of the stuff you can buy in like IKEA, if you think of it that way. That sort of thing there. Yeah, literature is wonderful for that as well, because you get a direct access to like people and the perspective and the way of life and all of that sort of stuff. And thank you very much, Low Effort. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Any more questions or anything like that? Sorry, I'm just going to refill my cup. Requires a little bit of focus. There we go. I've moved on to another one called Blade and Brick, which is named after a local member of Parliament for Newcastle and radical revolutionary as well. He basically tried to, we think he was involved in an assassination attempt, this guy called Joseph Cowen, member of Parliament for Newcastle for many long years. And he tried to assassinate Napoleon III. May have tried to be involved in an assassination attempt on Victoria, but that's never been proven. And was actually supporting revolutionaries in so many countries throughout the world. Hated the British Empire, wanted to get rid of the monarchy, make Britain into a republic, and openly tried to cause revolutions in the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, the Austrian Empire, the German Empire, the French Empire, the British Empire, and in North America as well. So proper radical revolutionary. And when he's this radical revolutionary, he made bricks in Bladen upon Tyne, which is near Gateshead, the sister town to Newcastle, just slightly to the south of Newcastle, on the other end of the river, and then along the river is Bladen. And when he had this brick factory, whenever the revolutionaries were kicked out of their homelands, he would bring them there, and he had the Bladen Institute, and it was a free school which provided a free education to all the local workers. And when he provided this free education, all of the lecturers were these revolutionaries from Austro-Hungary, from Russia, from all these places, who would basically run for their lives and were now teaching these guys and giving them this radical education, which I find hilarious. But his story is really interesting because his family actually started in Bamborough. His grandfather was actually the blacksmith at Bamborough and was one of the first guys to actually give his staff sick pay. And also like injury pay and stuff like that. So really revolutionary. We're talking 1800s here. And so when he does that, then his father goes and starts a brick factory. And so young Joseph is sent off to Edinburgh University to study there. And instead of spending all of his money on like drinking and partying like most students would do, even back then, he actually uses his money to support strikers. So whenever someone wants to strike for better wages and stuff like that, obviously they wouldn't get any pay while they're on strike. So what he would do is he would actually use his university money that his dad had given him to support himself, to support strikers. Unfortunately, his story is a bit tragic at the end because he's doing a public speech and the platform he's standing on collapses. Everyone rushes forwards to save him, and he gets trampled. And when he gets trampled, it causes for long-term health issues. And sadly, he's just broken after that. He retires from politics and he passes away. So that's one of the ones right there. That's a bit of his story. Yeah, okay, one sec. I'm just catching up with your chat. Yeah, he was very busy. Have I ever considered writing a book? Now, two things about that. I actually was approached earlier in the year to write a book. I don't know if you know Pen and Sword, the publishing house. I did ask for it, but unfortunately, they wanted me to write something in 6 to 9 months. And alongside that as well, I looked at the finances of what I could get. And I know when it comes down to this, writing a book shouldn't be about the amount of money that you will turn over with it. But if I'm at this stage of life, when I've got a small child, going to make a decision to put 6 to 9 months worth of work in to produce a book, I need to make some decisions to make sure that financially it's worthwhile for me. So I decided, after looking at the finances, that it wasn't right for this time of my life. Alongside that, the second reason is I'm actually quite badly dyslexic. If you've seen any of my Facebook posts, there's generally one spelling mistake. Though I will tell you a funny story in a second, which I find hilarious, and I will come to in a moment. But because I'm quite dyslexic, I think if I wrote a book, it would be quite stressful. That having been said, I've just submitted an application to go back to university to do a master's, but I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. So with writing a book, I just thought about it, and I just went, like I could, but all the things didn't line up. And also, I don't feel I've got a perfect topic yet. I'd love to look at sort of the Roman Christianity of the northeast of England, because it does seem on Hadrian's Wall that there is a large Christian population, or there's at least a Christian element in the wall from the 3rd century onwards. And that's something I find really, really interesting. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, would I write about that? Or would I write about the Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Northumbria or stuff like that? You see, my main areas, I'm really interested in liminal periods, bits that are between. So like, when people think of the Roman Empire, you've got the Romans right here, and then you've got the Anglo-Saxons, and then suddenly we're in Normans, and then it's medieval England, and it's nicely packaged up into these wonderful little, syllabuses that you can teach the kids in school, instill them so they understand where their country came from, and then pass it on again. And that's what you get over and over again. And it frustrates me because it's so much more nuanced, because Britain's Roman, but it's like the culture here would be Romano-British, which would have been slightly different to Romano-Spanish, Romano-Gaulish, Romano-German. These cultures are slightly different, but they're all Roman. And that's one of the things there. And then at the end of the Roman Empire, if you looked at the 1st century Romans compared to your 5th century Romans, there's so much difference in culture. And I find that really interesting, and just showing that transition into the next period, I find really, really cool. So that's something that I love to show off in my videos. To the person who just joined us, hello again. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And at the moment, I'm just talking about, have I ever considered writing a book? And some other things as well. Going back to my dyslexia. So a funny story actually is, as I mentioned before, I post all my videos into the relevant Facebook groups. So I'm in up to 50, 60 odd Facebook groups that are relevant to topics, and about 40 that are sort of more generic. And what I do is I post into all of these chats. I'll come to that in one second, Ophelia. I have seen your question. But I post in all of these chats the video. And this one lady was just like, can you please correct the spelling? And I looked over it and I read through it again. And I was just like, I haven't done a spelling mistake here. I put it through my spell checker. I did everything. I typed it into Google. I've typed it there, checked for spelling mistake, no spelling mistake. The issue was in the fact I had used British spellings and she was an American. And so because I'd used British spellings, she was calling me out for a spelling mistake. Can I correct my spelling? And it tickled me no end, because there was a part of me. And if I was a worse man, I would have immediately gone, actually, I think you'll find that this is, English, not American English or stuff like that. But I just didn't want to do that. And I just thought, that's going to cause so much bother if I do, because it'll make me look bad. But I just thought it was funny there that she thought I was spelling things wrong, when actually I just used the English spelling, so the British spelling, rather than the American spelling, which does come across sometimes. It's quite a funny one. Things like color and stuff like that, or there's other words that have different spellings depending on culture. A center with it's the ER and the RE, depending on English or American English. So that was another one there. So yeah, so that's why I don't want to write a book. So Ophelia, what masters am I wanting to do? I'm actually looking at doing a master's in archaeology. So I submitted my application to a university, and hopefully I will be accepted to do a master's in archaeology. So that's my interest there. Because I thought about it, and I just thought, well, actually, I'm doing all of this research for YouTube. I might as well like combine that research together with studying and my work, and actually have some credentials. Because, as I mentioned, and I keep mentioning it, so I hope it doesn't come across boring, but I'm a tour guide, and the unfortunate side effect of being a tour guide is that many people think it's a sort of a temporary job. You know, people become a tour guide during the summer or something like that. They think it's students that get given a script, and then they do like 6 to 8 tours a day in Edinburgh for 30 people on every tour. But that's how people view tour guiding. But I wanted to basically prove that I'm actually doing my research, and that I've got a qualification to back up my knowledge. Because so often, like when I start a tour, people say to me, where did you study history? And everyone always thinks I've got a history degree. I don't. I have a degree in politics. My degree is in politics and sociology from Newcastle University. That's why I come at it from a slightly different perspective to many other people who studied history. And so because of that, I look at it, the political side of you and the sociological side of you. But my specialism in sociology was I focused heavily onto anthropology. So I love looking at cultures. So whereas like traditionally people have used our anthropology to study foreign cultures, I use it to study the past. And I love it. I just love it so much. Because it's like you've got to try and get into the minds of these people and go, right, okay, don't look at them as primitive, don't look at them as less, but look at them and go, wait, what did you think? What was important to you? I think that's probably also why I struggle so much watching historical films, because they make it so alien, or they make it so weird, and it's like, no, it's much more in depth than that, which is quite cool. Aye. Oh, to the person who just joined, hello and welcome. Good to have you here. Feel free to type something in the comments if you've got any questions or anything like that, and happy to go from there. Just to check back, the gentleman with the shark comment, he's gone, or has he? He never responded, did he? Shark eat duck. No, he's just gone. Oh well. Cool. Let's see. I'm just looking back through my videos and saw which ones I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Norman Chapel one in Newcastle's Castle, just because I really enjoyed the way with the 360 camera, how you could actually see inside the building, and that worked really well. I really enjoyed doing that one. And the well room of Newcastle's Castle, that was really good fun. Great Hall was also another brilliant video where I was standing inside the Great Hall and talking about some of the Anglo-Scottish wars and stuff. I need to really develop that in the future. Those are some of the ones I really enjoyed. Arbea Roman Fort, just being able to go inside the reconstructions and do some videoing inside of there, that was really nice. And I hope to do some more work at Arbea in the future, but we'll see. So those are some of the ones I really liked, and they went very well. I'm just looking again. The other really interesting one actually is Living in the Shadow of Cheddar Man. That one was my second best video actually, and it's actually had a bit of a renaissance lately. The reason why, and it's actually the first one of the prison video. Is that the prison video within Newcastle's Castle by any chance, or which prison video? If you don't, could you remind me? I'll keep chatting until you've sort of responded there. But one sec. What was I just saying? The Cheddar Man one, the Shadow of Cheddar Man, talking about the Neolithic and so the Paleolithic populations up here in the northeast of England. That one's actually done really well lately. And the reason why is because there's another YouTuber who did a video on it. And at the end of the video, you know, you can put those title cards, or you can just suggest other videos and stuff like that. A load of people had my video suggested off the back of his. And so because of that, a whole load of people just subscribed from his video. And I thought that was really nice. I think he's called something like, what was it? It was a very, very interesting one to see what was suggesting my content. But he was a gentleman who did some video on it, and he interviewed the lady from the British Museum. Yeah, 26 people subscribed off the back of that video, which was amazing. And it's done very, very well. But most people came in from the other gentleman's video, which really surprised me. It was quite nice to sort of see where people had come from, and, you know, just that people had really enjoyed it. Yeah. Cheddarman DNA Secrets with Dr. Selena Brace. But he did a fantastic video and then came across from that. The prison. Yeah, I mean, prisons, they're an interesting one as well, because in the past, obviously, prison wasn't actually a long-term punishment. If you threw someone into something like an oubliette, which is the medieval word meaning forgotten, yeah, that's a punishment. And you drop them down in the oubliette, and then boom, they're gone. Until someone pays the right amount of money or they become useful again, then yeah, that's the sort of thing there. But normally, prison was like it wasn't seen as a punishment how we use it today. It was just kept until you could be physically physically beaten, or fined, or executed. So it's interesting today how we use prison as a punishment compared to how in the past it's just basically keeping you in one place until they can decide what they're going to do with you. Yeah. The Cheddar Man video is actually the first and only video that I've received yet a hate mail. Well, not hate mail, but like a correction off the back of it as well. I received a video from this one gentleman, and he told me how I'd got a lot of my facts wrong, and he provided some very interesting sources to a number of very interesting websites, basically telling me that I needed to correct my sources, which was an interesting one. But it's obviously different people will have different understandings of history, and so he joined there. Hello to the person who's just joined, by the way. Just doing my this is my Christmas video, so basically I'm just engaging with all of you. If you've watched some of my content, if you'd like to write in the chat below some of the videos you've enjoyed watching or anything like that, please do. And basically, it's just a chance for you to ask me some questions, to interact, and just to basically just bring in the Christmas together. So, and also just celebrating the growth of the channel over the last year. So thank you very much. Ophelia, whereabouts is Hroth? And if I say this wrong, by the way, but Hrothsaga? Oh, it's a name. I'm so sorry. That's a person's name. Yeah, so this is a really interesting one, Jesse, that you've pointed out. So the idea that the Frisians are Hrolfs, is that Hrolfs, Ophelia? Sorry. Interesting idea of Frisians participating with the Vikings. So yeah, this is the really interesting thing. So what people have done is they've taken the name Viking and they've made it into an ethnicity. It's not. So Viking, there's a number of different theories for this. One theory is it comes from the Anglo-Saxon Viking, and Viking means pirate. And the other one as well is, I'm very glad you don't know how to pronounce it either. There is another YouTuber I love watching. He's a gaming YouTuber called Lord Lambert, and he has this little joke that whenever he says something, he goes, "Nailed it." And I kind of want to do that whenever I say something, just to see how the comment section will explode. Because like I know that I didn't say, so people, there's like agricola or agricola, so agricola, you know, all of these different names, Tacitus, Tacticus, yeah. Oh, hi Jean. Crack on, you know, please go ahead. I'm happy to answer any questions you've got. Then I'll come back to the Frisian question in a sec, Jesse. Just because Jean's on lunch, I'll try and do that quickly. And just to honor your time. But while you're just typing, Jean, I'll answer Jesse's. But yeah, so yeah, people have made Viking into an ethnicity rather than making it into a understanding it's a profession. So the thing is that the Frisians, until their conversion to Christianity, you know, would have just been involved. I mean, and we think that the Romans used the word Scotii to refer to the people of Northern and Ireland and Northern Ireland. But the interesting thing about the Scotii that we have in the 3rd, 4th, 5th centuries, when the Romans refer to them, is that they almost use the word Scotii just to mean pirate. And so when they use the word to refer to pirate, again, like Viking, both of these words, they start off meaning one thing, but they transform over the course of their use to the point where today, you know, we have Scotland, because tribes from Northern Ireland and Ireland migrate into the west coast of Scotland, and in over 400 years, 500 years, they take over the whole of Scotland. And so that's where you get the Scotii, and becomes the Scots, becomes Scotland. Would they refer to themselves as Scots? Probably not. They would have seen.
According to Wikipedia, the Holocaust, also known as the Shoah, was the genocide of Europe.
What the living daylights? That was very weird. I don't know if you heard that, but my phone just did a Google search and started asking questions about the Holocaust, which was very weird. Yeah, that's disturbing, because I was talking about Scotland, which is definitely not connected in that way. But yes, sorry, yeah, to go back onto it. So yeah, so the tribes from Northern Ireland, on Ireland as well, who migrated into the west coast of Scotland, would not have referred to themselves as Scots initially. But then over the centuries, because of the interaction, other people referring to them as the Scots, they then became the Scots, which then became Scotland as we know it today. So in a similar way, when you're looking at stuff like the Frisians were successful traders. We know in Anglo-Saxon York, there was a whole section of Anglo-Saxon York for Frisian traders. And that was the Frisian part of York, or Jorvik as it was known back then. So like they were just as involved, and they found in Viking graves Irish people, they found English people, they found Frisians, they found Norwegians, you know, people from all over the North Sea basin, you know, from Brittany right the way around to Iceland. All of those people at different points, people who didn't have much hope or wanted to make money or did stuff like that, would have signed up as Vikings. And it just makes sense. And so it's just like understanding their involvement. Yeah, the great heathen host before it invaded Britain, and I know when I posted about that, that really kicked off, calling them heathens, but that's just what the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle calls them. They were based in the Netherlands and in Frisia before they came across, so they were very involved. All right, Jesse, do you watch or interact with other history YouTubers like Simon Roper or folks with cultures than on other aspects? Cool. So, Gene, that's a really good one. I don't know Simon Roper, so I'll just copy his name into Google and just put it there, and I'll research it after the stream's finished, because Simon may be someone who I could work with or something like that, and that would be really interesting as well. In regards to, like, do I watch other YouTubers whose focus on other aspects of culture other than that sort of thing? Yes, I do. So I mentioned in passing, one of my passions is Roman reenactment. So I actually have historically accurate Roman kit, and just the other night I was actually doing a live stream with Irish medieval history, Phil from that channel, and we all dressed up in historical costumes. So I was dressed as a late Roman, and we just talked about Christmas through the ages. So I do interact. One of the best channels I would definitely suggest is one called the Bakari. And the Bakari, I'll just share the link in chat as well. 1 second. Never mind. I'll just do it while we're just chatting. But basically, my friend Francis has a channel where he does some really good reenactment work. Yes, there we go. And I definitely suggest his work there. There we go. So that's Francis's channel, and he reenacts a Roman marine from the 4th century. The other ones and stuff like that is there's a fantastic one that's just started, and I've just started chatting to them in the background as well, is Imperium Romanum. They've just jumped from like 0 to 10,000 subscribers and like that. And they are some fantastic Dutch reenactors who have really spot on hit the nail on the head with their authenticity of their kit. In the new year as well, I'm wanting to do more stuff where I look at like material culture and looking at the material items, because I think that's going to be really interesting. And I think that's something that I want to focus on more. Thank you so much, Jesse. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or day, wherever you are in the world. And safe journeys wherever you go, and have a wonderful Christmas. So yeah, does that answer some of your question, Jean? Or is it Jean? I don't know if you are French or anything like that, but hopefully I'm pronouncing it okay. I'll just say Jean for the minute, but I hope that's all right. Also, I have done some work with, I mentioned before, Nick Barnsdale of the Study of Antiquity in the Middle Ages. Irish medieval history. I've started working with Phil. So when I did my live stream with him, Phil lives in Japan. So I had to get up at 12:30 at night, 12:30 p.m. And then we did a live stream from 1 a.m. till 3 a.m. So a recording from 1 a.m. till 3 a.m. And I was just dead on my feet the next morning. I was just like, oh, why did I do that? But it's so good to work with other people. There's a couple of other YouTubers who I'm really hoping to do some work with. I'm going to send some more messages in the new year and just see if we can do some more stuff. There's a couple of other people who I think would do really well to work with. And what we'll do is I'll go out, we'll make some videos together and work from there. As you probably know, I work with Newcastle's Castle. Really big fans of Newcastle's Castle. I think they're doing an amazing job of bringing that place to life. Because when I first visited Newcastle, the castle just sat there empty and you just walked inside and it was just dull and it was dirty on the inside, dark. It wasn't a great visit place. But now they've really done it out, and I'm really sort of like pleased with what they've done with it. And so I think that really helps when people visit there. So I'll always work with Newcastle's Castle, and if you search on YouTube, their channel is also brilliant as well. Because they do a lot of historical food and stuff like that. My friend George, he does a fantastic food session, which I really suggest to watch, because it's funny as anything, because George is a brilliant character as much as anyone else. Hello, Wayne. Welcome from Australia. Good to have you here. And Jean, you're welcome. If you've got any questions, just keep chatting away. I'm really enjoying chatting to you, especially faces who I see you chatting away in the comment section. So to be able to talk to you live is brilliant as well, where obviously I'm not edited. I haven't been able to sit here and put an hour's work into making sure that the video is as presentable as possible. But I hope the difference between live streaming me and edited me is not too different. Again, another channel I haven't come across. I will put it into my Google taskbar and I will look at it again at the end. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's just like there are thousands of content creators, just tens of thousands of us, all trying to climb up the the greasy pipe, the the well, climb up to the top and get to the top as well. All right, well, this here, I've already explained the history of the beer, but it is my second, and it's going to be my last. That's first. Oh, is he? He's doing a live as well. I'm really interested to see if you can do a sort of a joint live stream in the future, because I was talking to someone about it, and I think it'll be good fun. But I'll have a look at his, because I bet he's baking something amazing, because Mehdi, like, he could do some amazing food stuff from history. I'm trying to think, like, obviously, like almonds. One of my favorite things at Christmas time is Stollen. It's a German tradition, but for some reason it's a big one in my family. It comes from my grandma, and she's from Teesside, Middlesbrough way, again in the northeast of England. But like my mum always bakes us a Stollen, which is marzipan in a wonderful bread. It's a sweet bread with the wonderful raisins and dried fruits in it, and it's covered with icing, and it's just we toast it and have it for Christmas morning breakfast. It's one of my favorites, and it's just like it's an amazing tradition in my family. A Bakewell. All right, so he does world stuff. That's another thing to ask, because like a few of you here are quite regulars, so it's like I want to focus obviously on England and Northern England and stuff like that, especially as I feel as it's been overlooked a lot. Because when you read history of Britain, it's normally the southeast of England, or you get a wee tiny bit of Scotland or a wee tiny bit of Ireland, or like literally Wales is invisible in British history, unfortunately, and so is Ireland for the most part, except for there was a potato famine, and I'm just like, well, actually, Ireland has way more history than just having that horrendous thing happen to it. Scotland is more than Culloden, and is more than like the Highland clearances, and England is more than the southeast. So that's one of the things I want to do more of. But I will be touching on other bits of the world history as well. I think stuff that I find interesting, I want to do stuff of. Obviously, I'd love to be in person. I love to be in person, and I'll try and do as many videos as possible in person. So like, I'm thinking next year trying to go down to York and doing some down in York, going across to Cumbria, doing stuff there. There's some wonderful standing stone circles still existing in Cumbria that I want to do. But like, I'm not going to do, this is something I've committed to now, and it's not something that's going to go away. So I'm going to like trying to create more. I've done 100 videos so far, so I'm planning on keep going. Yeah. Don't worry. I think I'm mentioning Irish, Wayne. Don't worry. I've got a plan to try and show connections, because there's some really interesting stuff where like tin and copper came from. So like in the Bronze Age, most of Britain's copper seems to have come from Ireland at one point. Different imports at different periods. So that'll be an interesting one. So that'll be a good one there. Would it be all right? I'm going to take a comfort break for 1 minute, and I'll be right back. But please just keep putting your questions in. I'm hoping when I come back, you'll all still be here. But just for 1 minute, I will be gone, and I will be back in 1 second. But please don't all run away, and I will see you shortly. And if by magic he returns. Okay. Thanks, Gene. First of all, everyone, thanks for waiting. See, we lost 2 people, but that's not. I'm sure some people will come back over the course of the evening. So when it comes to it, I will have a look at tasting history of Max. It'll be very interesting for me, and that'll be a good one to look into. So it is difficult, and I do admit in my earlier videos I did have a problem with background noise, and I've done a lot to try and sort that out. Because I'm in my office, I can actually show you some of the stuff I use. So talking about sound, after numerous comments of, oh, the wind, which I recognize is annoying, and I've tried my hardest because I would use myself as a wind buffer, all sorts of stuff to try and stop it. But just to show you, this is my sound equipment. So if you look very closely in the Christmas videos, you'll see this just sticking out the top of my Christmas jumper. I am working on this to improve continuously. But when I'm out and about, I will record audio on this, and then I use that backup audio to basically fill in the gaps where the background noise or wind is too much. Most of the time I try and record on good weather days, but I bought this to basically help me with that sound issue. I was very lucky it was on a sale, but again, you're talking about 50 odd pounds, but I knew it was an investment, and it was something I was willing to do to actually enable for the videos to go forwards. So that's one of the ones right there. When it comes to filming itself, I actually use this, which is a GoPro Max. Basically, it's a 360 GoPro and enables me to get the full round and about view. So when you're normally seeing me film, this is the other side, which you don't see. This is behind the curtain, if you like. That's how I've normally got the camera set up, obviously a wee bit more upright. And therefore, you can then see me, and you can also, in a second, I can turn it around or point down something here or point to something here, and you get a full understanding of what's going on around me at that time. So that's the other bit of kit as well. Again, more expensive, but because I committed myself to this and I'll go, right, this is something which I want to do for years rather than weeks or months, I was willing to put the money in. Obviously, because I'm self-employed as well, it's a part of my business, so that's the other thing as well. And what I won't be moving around, because you can't see it, is I've got a webcam, which is basically just to help out because I needed a better camera for when I was doing the Christmas series. So I bought a webcam, which is a nice 1080p one. It was around about £30, and that works well. And then also is this as well. This is going to cause no end of lighting issues. But I've got this lighting circle as well. And that basically just means that when I'm filming from home, you get a nicer color. It's more like natural light. And that natural light obviously helps with the video too. Yeah, wholesome kind of is the new punk, if you like. I kind of like that description. To be pleasant is something that people don't expect in the modern world. And that's actually a terrible shame, isn't it? You know, you just don't expect to be treated in a nice manner anymore for a variety of reasons. You know, I mentioned this earlier, you know, smaller social circles, less time with friends and family, all of those sort of things as well cause for people to be more snappy with each other. And I know that there are massive scapegoats, but I think the news has learned that negative news gets more clicks, more watches, more likes, and so they just propagate bad news, and bad news sells, and therefore people, when they do get niceness, you know, that's actually quite a surprise. And so I hope you get a little bit of niceness from me, even when I'm, you know, discussing the horrendous nature of the Roman army or stuff like that, because they're just horrible. The Romans are efficiently horrible, and that's why I find them fascinating, because they managed to keep everything together and bring everyone in the time when they were pretty horrendous. Yeah, that's true. No, I think you're right. There is a general competition within tour guiding. Tour guiding is horrendously cutthroat. I've got a small group of tour guides who are my friends, but really, like the competitive nature amongst tour guiding is really tragic. Where people will go out of their way to try and take work off each other, or they will fall out over issues, or like debates over professionalism, all sorts of stuff like that. And it's quite tiring. Hopefully it will end though, and things will get better in the future. But I always try and be more optimistic about things. But yeah, I think every academic or social circle or social bubbles, people can be very, very competitive, and that's it's because things haven't been easy for a long time, I'd say. And so, because if things aren't easy, you do have to stand out and have to work hard to get forwards and to do what you want to do. Really good beer, that one. How did I get started? So this is actually a funny story. So I started off, I studied at Newcastle University, did my undergrad in politics and sociology, and then I did a master's in business innovation. When I finished my master's, I then basically took time to start looking for work. And after 9 months, I was either told that I was overqualified, I had no experience. So at the same time, I was also training throughout the whole of uni to be an army officer in the British Army. But unfortunately, due to some medical issues and things like that, I couldn't continue with my military career. So I decided to step back from my military career, and I left the British Army. After I left the army, and by the way, I have a really positive attitude towards the army and my military service. Many people who have had to leave the army, it's a bit of a difficult one, but it taught me a lot. And I think sometimes I say it's on equal level for shaping my character to my degree. Really useful for my life. So just to sort of footnote that. But finished that, started applying for jobs in civilian life. Did not get anywhere because 2013, the recession had properly hit, the economic global recession. And basically a load of people who had lost their jobs took the next level down jobs just to stay and work. So from there, I started for 9 months to search for work. After 9 months, I wasn't successful. And so I thought, what can I do now? It was Christmas time, 2012 going into 2013. I was talking to my mum and my brother, lamenting about, all of this stuff going on. And they said, well, my brother just turned around and said, why don't you become self-employed? And I sat down, my brother went back to university, and me and my mum sat down, and I thought about what I wanted to do. And when we were younger, I would always go up to the Edinburgh Festival, which is an amazing month-long festival throughout the whole of August, where there's arts and culture and stuff like that. And there were always people tour guiding there. And I looked into it, and there was a few guides, but when I searched, they weren't easy to find for tour guides in Newcastle. So I thought, right, I'm going to start doing this. So I went out and I started a guiding tour company. And then from there, I did, I wrote my first tour over a couple of months, stayed in Newcastle Library, researched all my tours, and then went out on the 9th of March, 2013. And I remember it because it was a blizzard. And I started asking people if they wanted a tour. And then from there, I got my first few tours, built up the contracts. And then from there, it just went up and up and up, added tours, different tours of Newcastle, added tours of Durham, added longer tours. So I do 1 hour tours, 2 hour tours, half day tours, full day tours. And I do tours of Hadrian's Wall, Bamburgh Castle, Lindisfarne, all of that region. And I'm always writing new tours as well. So really, really enjoy it. Hello, Steve. Welcome, by the way. As an Anglophone, very happy to found your channel. Yes, try to include maps. So I have seen this pop up a couple of times from a few different people, and thank you for saying it as well. From now on, I am like, the thing is my creation, this is a little bit a frustration for me, but also a frustration for you guys as well. I create my videos in blocks. So when you're watching the videos have probably been made about 2 months in advance. That's because of my own personal life. That's because of family, because of work, all of those different things. And so that means is that when you give me feedback, I will do my utmost to try and implement it as fast as possible. But sometimes there's still times where there isn't that time to actually put in the changes that you've asked for. And I really wish I had a wee bit more time, or that, I could see your comments while I'm editing, if that makes sense. It's impossible, but that would be a dream, because then I could see them and go, oh, I'll change this, I'll change that, I'll change this. But often when you make a comment, what I have to do is that when I make my next batch of when I make my next batch of videos, I then have to put that in place there. So it's I've definitely seen what you've said, and in the next batch of videos there will be more maps, and I am trying my hardest to include that, just so that you know where I'm talking about, the regions, things like that, and just make it as engaging as possible. Ooh, did I freeze that? You're welcome. So yeah, that's one really useful feedback as well, because the thing is, sometimes I watch the video back once I've edited it, but I put it into YouTube, and trust me, I may have ironed out sound issues, and then they come back in when I put them into YouTube. It's really annoying. Or I'll have watched the video through, and to me, it makes perfect sense because I've edited it, I've filmed it, I've been out there, and then suddenly one of you goes, oh, what's that? And I go, oh, I didn't explain that properly. So you guys commenting in the comment section is one of the most useful bits of feedback that I can possibly get. So thank you so much for that. And I will always try and take the comments well, and just sit down and objectively, calmly, and understand them, because I have seen some people on YouTube, when they get feedback, not take it very well. And occasionally there is a couple of comments that sort of barb me, but not because of constructive criticism, but because of the attitude of some of the people who've written. But generally, I'll always be polite. I'll listen to what's been said, and I'll respond in a calm and understandable. And also, alongside that as well, 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, thank you so much. Didn't think of that. I'll do that in a different way. So that's really helpful. Yeah, the stone, iron, and bronze age. We're going to step away from that for a wee bit. I think I overdid it. I loved doing it, and I wanted to lay a foundation, but I need to step away from it for a wee bit, because otherwise I think you guys will get fed up of it. There's some amazing Stone Age stuff, but I want to do at least 1 or 2 series before I come back to the Stone Age or the Iron Age, or the Bronze Age. Iron Age I'll happily touch on, because there's more to look at there. But I think I need to step back a wee bit from the prehistoric and do a wee bit more work in other areas, just to really bring it to life. I know you're entirely right, Steve. There isn't enough in the popular histories, because it's it often feels like history is written just to give you the bare minimum understanding of where your country comes from, or where you come from, and then it jumps on to the more in-depth stuff. And in British schools, in A-level history, it's just all the Second World War. Or you can look at the creation of Germany, creation of Russia, and it's boring. At least I found it boring. Sorry, some people love that Second World War stuff. To me, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to hear any more about it. So I love looking into that, because there's so much stuff there that we just don't know. It's all like, well, what language did the Bronze Age, Bronze Age British, and I use British just to mean the geographical island, because they weren't British like I'm British, and I'm not British like the tribes when the Romans invaded were British. We're different British at different times. It's fascinating. What if they spoke a dialect more similar to Middle Eastern languages? It's entirely possible. We just don't know. I will continue to try and be nice in all ways. I don't think you'll find me doing anything. I just couldn't make a video where I was being unpleasant, or at least you'll rarely see it where I get barbed or frustrated. It's very, very rare. It's not my. It's very much not my character. Just so you all know, we're coming up to about the 2-hour mark, where I've been streaming for nearly 2 hours. I think for 2 hours for my first stream is probably about right, and it will be 9 o'clock here in the UK. So what I'm going to do is just, if you'd like to put your questions in, and we'll do the last 10 minutes of Q&A, chatting about stuff, that sort of stuff, and then at 9 o'clock sharp, I'll bring it to a close. Just because I think then after 2 hours, it'll be a nice thing, finished it all up. And I'll basically decide in the new year how often I'll be doing this, because I want to make this more regular. I've been watching the numbers throughout the whole of this stream, and it's very nice to see how many people have been involved. It's generally been the highest point. I think we hit 8 or 9, which I know it's, compared to some streamers, I bet your cooking guy is sitting on something like 6,000 or something like that. I won't even look because it'll just depress me. But I will basically just keep going along and just try and build this so that you get a chance to talk to me as well. And we'll look at doing this maybe more regularly in the new year. I think I'd like to try and do it monthly, but we'll just see what happens. So I'll look at maybe putting another date in January. One sec, I'm just catching up with the chat. Yeah. Have a wonderful rest of your day, Jean. I hope your lunch break was nice, and have a lovely rest of your time. 2K. Okay. Well, 2K is good. Maybe one day we'll have 2K joining us here, but I bet he's got a few more subscribers than me. My 947 loyal followers. Trust me, by the way, just so you know, I am not taking the mick there. I fully appreciate every one of you, and it blows my mind that 900 odd of you will listen to me just ramble on as I walk through a field, and I love it, and I'm really appreciative. So thank you so much. Please don't think I'm taking the mick there in any way. It's just great to know that you actually want to chat and to also be involved. But yeah, I bet he's sitting on something huge numbers. So 2K is good. But yeah, we'll just do this semi-regularly, see how it builds up, and just see how the content goes going forwards. I have been trying to set up a software called OBS so that I can do stuff like backgrounds, music, screens, starting soon, finishing soon, that sort of stuff. So I will have a more polished version for when you next come along for the January stream. It will definitely be more polished, more up to a different standard, because at the minute I basically thought I had it all set up and it wasn't set up properly. So I just decided to try and do it as it is with the YouTube feature and use the YouTube webcam, and then I'm going to use a proper streaming one for the next one. So we just build on, like everything, just like the videos. Hopefully it will get better as we progress. Oh, so yeah. Yes, I do. But it's a bit more tricky for me, Ophelia. I would love to do that. But I don't have that many people who I can ask that much time of them. So to be able to, as I mentioned before, what I do is I will make all the videos in bulk. So if you think about it, it's about well, if there's 8 videos there and they're all around about 8 minutes long, it's quite a lot of time to ask someone to sit down and to comment on and stuff like that. I would normally show them to my wife, but the problem with that is that we've obviously got a daughter and she's got her own work and stuff like that. So it's one of those ones where I do apologize, sorry. Christmas cold. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think I'll have to keep it for the future. And basically, it's there. I will hopefully have some more support coming up shortly, and they will be able to revise over some of the videos and stuff like that. But as I watch through it, I do carefully take into account people who are not experts, not specialists, and I try and do something that's basic layer, middle layer, and academic layer, and mix in together so it's good for everyone. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those tricky ones where I want it to be as accurate and as good as possible. Everyone with the research from the sources and explaining what's there, but at the same time making it accessible for all people at all times. I think I can hear my wife wrapping my Christmas presents in the background. Or at least I hope that's what's going on. It could be more gifts for other people, but you know, Christmas presents, yay! I wrapped all of mine this afternoon. I wrapped all of our families, so that was nice. Oh, shameless plug as well. If you enjoy science fiction and fantasy, definitely would suggest both The Witcher and The Wheel of Time. Amazing series. Witcher, head and shoulders above Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time takes a wee bit more time to get into, but I do love my science fiction and fantasy, and both of them are really quite fun series, just in case you like that sort of thing. I watched season 2 of The Witcher in 2 days. Me and my wife binge watched it, and we're big fans, very big fans. Yeah, The Witcher. Season 2 of The Witcher in 2 days. Yeah, very, very good series. As fans of both the books and the games, I'd have to say there's a couple of tiny little things, but I think they did it perfectly. And I like the changes they made, and it's good changes, I think. Oh, I didn't scream with the screen. I was just explaining little things here and there every so often, and I loved it. Jaskier is obviously my favorite character, and I love his songs. They are brilliant. I think it's a difficult one between series and books, but that's just in the last couple of minutes. When you're looking at a series compared to a book, the books, you create the characters in your mind. So like one of the things is like what a lot of people my age and slightly older, we've all read Harry Potter. And so you had Harry and Hermione and Ron in your head of how they looked. And then when you saw the films, that then supplanted that. And I have to say, I preferred the Harry Potter books than I preferred the films. And I've always enjoyed books more because of the fact that I can imagine things more. Whereas I think with the Witcher series, you're bringing stuff to life that is so folklore and stuff like that. It's just so enjoyable. And the music, I think, really makes it. Really does. And Jaskier is just amazing. And his songs, especially the Jailhouse Blues, has been playing in my house over the last 2 days. Very much fun. I'll have to read through them again to fully to get it. I read them when I was much younger, so they're a bit fuzzy in my mind. But when I was growing up, just to frame a bit more of me, I read Terry Pratchett, I read Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, I read, sorry, I'm just looking down here, Raymond D. Feist. And those are my 3 big series I absolutely adored. And Terry Pratchett as well, just set up so much of my world. Yes, I do. So I will look out for his music more. It's hilarious. He's actually from Newcastle. I didn't actually know he made his own music, but I'll look it up now because that's brilliant. I'll find his name from the series and I'll watch it as well. But I've just noticed we've just gone over 2 hours. So to the faithful few who have made it all the way through to the end, not to say if you're watching this back and you couldn't make it through the whole way, please do not feel as if I'm having any less of worth or value on you. But I just wanted to say to those who've made it to the end, thank you so much for you basically just chatting, being involved, joining me for this Christmas stream, and just being involved in what I'm jokingly calling my Christmas party. It's been great to chat to you. It's been great, amazing fun, and I just really appreciate it. So I hope all of you just have a lovely rest of your evenings or days, depending on the different time zones, and that we get to talk again soon in the future. But until then, look after yourselves, stay safe and well. And if you do feel as generous, please do share some of the videos with your friends. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, because it's YouTube and I have to say it. Forgive me if you ever find that boring or dull at the end of every video, but it's just something to help grow what I'm doing. And alongside that as well, just I hope you have the most amazing Christmases and that you and your families are well and you have the most wonderful times together. Other than that, look after yourselves and thank you very much and Merry Christmas. So, 3, 2, 1, Merry Christmas.